Well, Framber almost faltered tonight, but guess what? Mauricio Dubon came to the rescue. He didn't want to spoil Kikuchi's introduction to a winning environment. Let's talk about it on tonight's Locked On Astros.
Yainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros. We update you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talkstros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Thank you for making us part of your daily routine, whether it's Locked On, if it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us, make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and make us your first listen, become an everyday or somebody listens to our podcast. Well, I guess you would say every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. If you want to go to Minute Park, just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. So, Brett, this game made me a little bit nervous to get started. Then 3 errors by one of the best shortstops in the game. That kind of got them back in the game, right, Brett?
Yeah, it did. And it wasn't me wheeling to the table because Mr. Rashad said wheeling wheelhouse. No, it's wheeling Eric in the house. So Eric, the man, is the one with the wheels. We'll call him Hot Wheels while I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. You can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me at Astros411 on Facebook and on X. And you can also find me Back to the Bullpen on YouTube, on iHeartRadio, on Instagram. And I know I add stuff every time and on X. Look, I'm always positive, always Stros. This is a game where the way it started, you were like, you know what? I really wish we would have got a bat. Or, I think every time a Pirates player did something good, someone on X was
Brian
like,
McTaggart kept on saying, maybe we should have traded for Michael Taylor. Maybe we should have traded for Joey Bart. I saw that.
But yeah, I mean, look, outside of that one inning, Framber was fine. Okay. And we'll talk about Kikuchi here in a second and Ferguson, because I think there were some interesting things that Mr. Ferguson had to say about being here in Houston, Texas. But it's a good win. You need this going into a day off. You needed this today because the Seattle Mariners lost. Both the Mariners and the Rangers lost. So you had to gain ground because, I mean, the schedule, again, we are going to be officially, if you're listening to this on Thursday, it's officially August. Once we get into August, kids, that is the dog days. And August 2nd, we actually start a series against the Rays. Now, the Rays may not be world beaters, but they just made some trades. And I don't know if you saw this, Chris Morel, in his first pinch hit at bat as a Ray, hit a home run. From what I understand, in Chicago, he was not very well treated by the media. He was not having a good year. He didn't have much surrounding him. And I think in the next 2 years, you're going to see Chris Morel really blossom in Tampa. So they've got some firepower and they've got the arms. So it'll be a good series. But I hope the Astros can do what they continue to do at home, which is win more than they lose.
Yeah, before we get to talking about today's game a lot, I put this up. Brian McTaggart just tweeted this out. But in March and April, the Astros went 10-19. May, they went 15-14. Then we saw them start to blossom in June, 17-8. July, they kind of came back to earth a little bit, but they did catch up. They're tied with the Mariners technically. They're ahead in first place by percentage points.
Right.
But in July, they were 14-11. So that's what the Astros have done. If you're wondering what the Astros have to do in order to win 90 games this year, and 90 games will probably win the AL West. Let's be honest. They have to go 34-20 for the rest of the way.
I think, Eric, I think that's doable. I mean, with this club, I know, look, I think Kikuchi helps with that because you have another starter. We just need to keep putting Josh Hader in save situations. Because when he's
Michael Taylor, though. Michael Taylor turns in Babe Ruth against him.
Right. But we're not going to play him again. But my point is his ERA is 2 runs higher when he's in non-save situations, is my point. So we need to get to that point to where if he's going to pitch, it needs to be a safe situation. Well, I guess we don't want to look. Would you rather blow teams out or win by 1 or 2? I think I would like to see Yordan in this next series. Yordan looked like he came close to getting a couple like big hits. He's just not getting the ball out of the ballpark. He's not getting that lift off the ball. And so that's just something that I want to see trend upwards, because right now, you know who's carrying this team offensively? It's
Yainer Diaz. Yeah.
And we will talk about him second segment probably.
Yeah, we'll talk about Yainer Diaz in a second. But Mauricio Dubon, he came off the bench. He pinch hit for Singleton. It was a big, I think recently, I think that Espada has been doing a lot better with the pinch hitters and bringing them in big situations. But Dubon hit a 399-foot home run. It was a no-doubter to, of course, it was over the Crawford boxes. But Alvarez's out was 399 feet. And it's kind of weird. Just if you put it at the wrong spot, it doesn't matter. But Joey Bart hit a 407-foot home run earlier in the game. But Mauricio Dubon's home run was the second furthest hit ball of the game. And so, but it gave the Astros the 5-4 lead at that time. And it was a big turning point in this game. And it was the first time the Astros really had control of this series, because the Pirates have basically dominated this whole series from the start. And I think that the Astros are a better team than the Pirates, but for whatever reason, it just feels like, I know the Astros had the lead 2-1, I think, against what's the young kid's name? The good one we faced on Friday, on the one that throws 100 miles per hour.
You talking about Paul Skeens?
Yes, Skeens. You know what I'm talking about. So, right. But I know they had to lead on him, but then they kind of got away from them a little bit. But this was the game that we finally kind of took control, and they dropped 3 games in a row, and now it looks like finally they've lost 3 of. They were 3-6 in the last 9 games. So it looked like things were kind of falling apart, and now they're 4-6 in the last 10 games. So they need to get back to their winning ways. But I think with some of the moves the Astros made today, they finally, this is Dana's team. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, but we'll talk about why. But Dana Brown has finally said, look, no more. This is my team. I'm going to go ahead and put my stamp on it. And he made a big move today. But Dubon had a big hit, but Yainer Diaz had some big hits. But Framber Valdez, you mentioned it. He didn't have his good stuff in 1 inning, but outside of that 1 inning, he had a pretty darn good game.
10 Ks. That is not anything to scoff at. That's only the 3rd or 4th time it's been done this year. And so we are racking up the double-digit strikeouts as we get deeper into the summer and closer to the playoffs. And that's good, because you need Valdez to have these bend don't break performances, because Framber is either on fire or he's fickle. I mean, he's just one of these guys that, man, when he gets it in his head, he is not good when he unravels. And he didn't do that tonight. I mean, he sustained it. And I mean, 4 runs early like that, you're sitting there going, oh, here we go again. Here goes another Framber's going to get Framberized himself. But that was in the 2nd inning, and they didn't score any runs after that. Not only that, you had the bullpen come in, Brady, Presley, and Hader, and they got the job done. And Framber went 6 full innings.
Presley's inning was not pretty at all. Thankfully, they had a double play, but otherwise, it was he allowed 3 Presley's inning. He allowed 3 runners on base, and so,
right, he did, but he didn't allow any runs, and so he did get the hold, and so that's what you want. Yeah, he did give up the 2 hits, but in the end, for the bullpen, I just need them to go out there, not throw a ton of pitches, and get outs, and not surrender runs. You give up 1 run, you change the complexion of the game. You go to extra innings. We know what this club does when we get to extra innings.
Yeah. So, but Framber Valdez, like you said, that bend but not break. That's something in the past we've seen him break and kind of give up the bad performance. But he turned this into a good performance, and especially after a bullpen game. This is what the Astros needed, and so I'm glad that he was able to do that. In the next segment, we'll go ahead and talk about how hot Yainer Diaz. Oh, I actually misspelled it, but Yainer Diaz. I think I was in the middle of thinking
That's okay.
Yachty.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, but I'll go fix that. But we'll go ahead and talk about what Yainer Diaz did, and we'll talk about what Kikuchi said in his first press conference with the Houston Astros.
When you're taking an America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor, a surefire summer hit. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. Blast off with the iconic summer flavor of Popsicle Firecracker, a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon, lime, tart, cherry, and raspberry flavors. Find all your favorite flavors on the website, from Acia Berry to lemon, lime, and pina colada. Powered by Live Hydroscience, and optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. We also want you to go to supplyhouse.com for all your plumbing, HVAC, and electrical product needs. Get supplies from the site that's made for skilled trades. That's right. The easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast and easy shipping coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trademaster program. Every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line and free shipping and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from the free membership at supplyhouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Hit that little red button down there. Make us first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check us out. And go and check out Michael Connor on the Locked On Astros postcast as well. Thank you to everybody that's sent me good wishes after my knee surgery. I had a torn meniscus, just like Mike Trout. So I'm still trying to recover, just like Mike Trout is. Apparently he's out for the season.
You always connect your injuries to athletes.
Well, I don't want to compare myself to Lance McCullers.
Well, you don't have to. Well, no, don't. But I'm just saying, you know, just like, that's just awesome. I love it. I mean, I think I probably did the same thing growing up. But hey, Yainer Diaz, dude, red hot. His July, dude. I just looked up his home and road splits. He's hitting 50 points higher, and he has twice as many home runs at home than he does on the road. I mean, right here, Eric, 10 multi-hit games in July, 358, 510, and 868. That's what they add in a 340 average. I mean, he's the best offensive catcher right now in all of baseball.
Yes, and he had 4 hits the game before. I believe he had 2 tonight.
Yeah.
6 hits in the past, 8 at bats or something. So he's red hot right now, and he's carrying the team. He had a big hit today, another RBI. So his batting average all the way up to 297. He's leading catchers in batting average. This is all catchers, so he's having a great season. So this is the catcher that we wanted. So the Astros finally have that offensive catcher that we've been looking for years. And so I would like the OPS to be a little bit higher, but I think it's coaching up to where it should be.
Eric, good
I I think that once he gets a little bit more patience and takes some walks, I think that's going to go up a little bit.
You crack me up, man. Well, he's the best offensive catcher in the league, but you know what? His OPS leaves something to. I mean, I get it.
He doesn't have the home runs like he did last year, so the home runs need to come a little bit more too.
No, you're right, and I understand. I'm just busting your chops. I'm like, man, he's killing it, and you're like, well, but have you seen his OPS? Wow. Did you drive a hard bargain, man?
Yeah. But hey, by the way, speaking of catching, did you see that Joe Espada actually did something that most managers don't do? You had both catchers start the game. So this is a big faux pas. Just in case one of them gets injured, you lose the DH. And so this is something where you had Caratini in this game. And then not only did you do that, but you pinch ran with Cabbage late in game. So you're down to only one catcher. So if something happened to Diaz, you're up the creek without a paddle. So that's if you're not going to use Leon, or if you're not going to use a Ledmus Diaz, then you might as well go ahead and bring up Cesar Salazar or something.
Before we sit on the Kikuchi news and what he said in the dugout and all that stuff, why was Pedro Leon not in the game today against a guy that has like a ridiculous ERA? And I don't want to hear about splits. I don't want to hear about righty versus lefty. To me, this offense is struggling. Why not give him the third game of a series where you lost the first two games? Maybe try to catch lightning in a bottle. The reason why you pulled him up here was because of his bat. I guess you start him against the Rays. I hope he gets a start on Friday, but to sit him the first two games, that it's just stuff like that I don't understand. And I'm not the only one asking that question, Eric. No. I would have liked to have seen him. Now, it worked out for him. The Astros won. The pinch hit was a great move. Dubon even said after the game, he's like, man, he goes, I told God, I was like, look, man, I'm going to need your help right now. And he said, I just felt like it was my time to do something. And man, he raked that ball to left center.
Even, I was thinking about this. When I looked at the lineup, I'm like, wait, Leon is not in the game. And the announcers were even talking about it. Well, this would be a good chance. Bring him in as a defensive replacement. Go and put him in left field. Hopefully you don't need it. It doesn't backfire, but he also has a bat. And so go and take Alvarez out and go and put him in left field just to get his feet wet so he's not so nervous in his major league debut, something like that. So I think that the Astros missed opportunity there, but you're going to have to get him in there. And I know that the Rays are not the same Rays team we're used to, but they're not a bad team. They have traded a lot of players away, but they're still have about the same record the Astros do. So we'll have to see what happens there. But it's interesting that they've called him up. Typically, when you call up a player, we've seen this up even with Ledmus Diaz. The first game up here, you put him in the lineup. Jose Abreu, when his first time come up, he's in the lineup.
But okay, so I understand Abreu. Okay, I don't understand Leon. I don't understand Ledmus Diaz. To me, Ledmus Diaz is the guy
hasn't played since.
Right. Well, right. You notice that he's the clubhouse guy. He's a high five, pass up bubblegum guy now. That's great. I don't think we need cheerleaders. We need leaders, and that's what I think this team still lacks.
Right.
But Pedro Leon is the guy that should have been starting his first game called up. Ledmus Diaz should not have been starting, but you know what? They don't pay me the big bucks to make those decisions.
Right. So since you've kind of got off script here a little bit, let's go ahead and talk about Montero. With the recent additions, Montero was DFA today. And this is a move I did not see coming. I know that he's been struggling. Some of the Astros coaches have said that he's become a little bit too predictable. His ERA is not that bad, but his FIP is a lot worse. It's actually 6 something, and which means that it's like his ERA should be a lot worse. But the Astros are just taking this is Dana Brown just saying, look, I did not sign him. We tried to trade him, and we don't mind if he's still on the team, but we needed this roster spot. We like what Brian Keene's doing. We're going to keep him up for a little bit. And we know we're going to eat this contract. But the Astros owe him $11.5 million for this year, the rest of it, and the full whatever it is, or whatever it is for this year, then 11.5 for next year.
Yeah,
that's what the Astros owe him. And so I think what Dana Brown said, we're just trying to improve the bullpen and get stronger. And we know he's been going through a rough patch and everything. We hope that he can work it out in AAA. And we have talked to him and said, look, we want you, if you clear waivers, we want you to go down AAA and work on things. And if we can use you, we'll bring you back. And Montero seemed open to it, but he's going to talk to his agent. He's going to talk to his family and everything like that. So we'll go ahead and continue this conversation when we get back. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day.
Go to Game Time today, download the Game Time app, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. I've told you about Game Time over and over again. I promise you, I know some of y'all have used it because you've actually told me through social media. Thank you for Game Time. Thank you for the code, and I'll give you that code at the end of this commercial. Last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy MLB tickets to every kind of event in your area. Views from all seats in the venue that you're going to, lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, so much more. You've got to go download the app today. It's Game Time. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. And Brett, I'm going to go ahead and allow you any closing thoughts on Montero. I think that we've basically said everything we need to say over the past year and a half about Montero.
Yeah, and Montero, and I think when actually, let me kind of correct the record on the YouTube short that I ran earlier. I was thinking about Bagwell doing the signing with Jose Abreu, and I basically tagged Bagwell for hiring Montero, and that actually wasn't him. It was actually Jim Crane. So I kind of put that out there. I was like, I just left it. I think this was inevitable, but I thought it was weird that Joe Espada said, well, we talked to him, and we hope he'll accept the assignment to go to AAA and fix things because we think we can get him back, and he's down a little bit. And I guess they want to do that. They want to recover because they still got money invested in him. But man, that got a lot of negative blowback from the fan base. I mean, people look, it's so funny. People want grace to be extended to them, but when it comes to your team and players not performing, there is no grace. There is no room for error. And I get it. I understand the kind of season the Astros have had. So it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked that they made that move.
Yeah, I saw speaking of grace and for your players and everything, I saw a Yankees fan saying, we got a human being for Caleb Ferguson. So
let's talk about that. So like Kikuchi and Ferguson came in. I don't know if you saw the picture, but Kikuchi sat right in between all the pitchers on the staff at the end of the dugout and just started cutting it up with the guys. Ferguson said, I've always wanted to play in Texas. And they said, why? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, I know it helps to pitch in the humidity. This guy apparently has never been to Texas other than to play baseball for the teams that he's played for.
Yeah, Kikuchi came in, and Dana Brown said that his English is better than he thought it would be. He does have a translator, of course, but Joe Espada said that he wants to win. That's the first thing he said. He said he's excited to go to a team that plays in October. He knows how to win in October, and I told him, you're here to help us get to October. We feel like he's the one piece that we were missing. So he's excited to join the group and help us win. And that Kikuchi said it's a championship team first and foremost. All they do is win, and you can see that over the last 10 years. So I was really excited to join a winning ball club. And he said, even though there's not many Japanese players here, historically, the Astros are still pretty popular in Japan because it's a winning organization. The team's always in the playoffs. They always have the playoff games on TV in Japan. So hopefully we win here and we make a long playoff that Japanese fans can see overseas. So he'll be the first Japanese starting pitcher here. But can you, Matt, do you know who the reliever, a Japanese reliever that played for the Houston Astros?
I just know he had Nori Aoki. Yeah, but he was a relief pitcher. I thought he was a position player.
Yeah, but he came in and pitched. I was just
okay. I was about to say no. I was like, no, he was a position player. And then we had a Kaz Matsui, who would hit some drag sticks in the in the dugout in between innings. The dude smoked like a chimney. But I thought that was an aspect of him coming here that I didn't really think about that I should have. And that's kind of cool to hear that the Astros are popular in Japan, because people like the Yankees and the Lakers and the Cowboys and your headline globally known teams are, but that's cool. I mean, the Japanese fan base is huge, and I actually have a friend that just came back from Japan, Eric, and they got to go to some baseball games out there, and they said, wow, I realized we don't have as much fun as we should be having at baseball games. Right. It is way more of a celebration, and it's more like a pep rally atmosphere, chants, cheers, kind of a lot like soccer, or people over there call it football. But look, I'm glad he's here. I think several days after, I think Kikuchi will do a good job. Ferguson, I think they will be able to do some stuff to fix him. I just don't like that we're getting guys that we have to fix, giving up what we had to give up for that. And I guess it could have been worse, but Dana did create this weird conundrum. I talked about this with Ethan last night. After he got Kikuchi for the 3 players, it totally screwed the market up. And the Tigers overplayed their hands. I think we could have got Flaherty for a much cheaper price than what we got Kikuchi, but we were afraid of not pulling the trigger and not getting something done.
Well, keep in mind, I know a lot of people are like, well, the Dodgers only gave up 2 prospects while the Astros gave up 3. The farm system, you can't compare them. The Dodgers have a better farm system, and their 3 prospects are the Astros 3 prospects probably don't compare to theirs. And the Tigers GM said, well, I think that we got the 2 guys we wanted. And so maybe that was just lip service, just trying to save face, because like I did say it the other day, yesterday, I said that if there's any lesson here, maybe Dana Brown should have had a little bit more patience, maybe waited it out a little bit. Maybe you could have got a little bit better deal towards the end, like I think the Dodgers did with Flaherty. But and a lot of teams got some better deals at the end, but not the Padres. The Padres paid they paid
AJ Preller. What was that guy doing? What was that guy doing? So hey, earlier I was scrolling through the comments. We have a ton of comments. Thank you guys for commenting and actually talking. But I know Michael A20 wanted to know what right here it is. Do we have any worries about the Mariners acquiring better players than us at the deadline? What's your outlook on because I mean they got some good bats. I mean, I guess they're going to have.
The Astros are gambling on Tucker coming back healthy at some point, and they're gambling on this help from the minor leagues. And
they moved him
to
Leon AIL, and they said his timetable hasn't changed. But I'm like, you've never given a timetable.
Well, just because he's already been on the 60 days. So that doesn't change anything. So he can still come up tomorrow, but that's just a technical, that's just to get him off the roster right now. So he could still be activated soon, but that doesn't mean anything. But what that means is that, so I think that they're relying that he comes back. They're relying on pitching improving with Kikuchi up, with Verlander returning, with with Luis Garcia returning at some point.
Yeah.
I think AJ Blueball will be up at some point as well. I think
More than
that they're
likely. Yeah.
yes. So I think that they're thinking that this is what Dana Brown said on Monday night. He said, we see Kikuchi as a young guy who could really strike out people. We see him as a guy who can really log some innings for us. And we see him as a guy who can pitch in the postseason with the power that he brings. He throws from 93 to 98.
Yeah.
This addition for us, we feel like he can be pretty good. He said that also he's a number 3 starter. So he sees him as being number 3 starter on this team.
Wow.
So once everybody's healthy, I don't know if that's true, but what this does is this does add another option because Ronel Blanco.
He just bumped Hunter Brown or Framber Valdez out of there. That's JV. Number 3
Hunter
starter.
Brown looked a little shaky yesterday, but
Eric, he's had a great year. What are you Come on, man. Hunter Brown has killed it. You've got JV, Hunter Brown, Valdez, and you've got Blanco. The only person I see him bumping is Blanco. I'm sorry, Dana. I disagree with you. Who you bumping to number 4? You're not bumping Hunter Brown. Come on, man. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
I just think sometimes, I don't know. I couldn't do what he does. He's still under immense pressure. They have to be successful this year, and Kikuchi has to contribute.
Yes. So this probably could be a little bit longer, but Dana Brown was on Sports Talk 790 today, and he did mention some stuff about the trade. He said, ultimately, I bear the responsibility as the GM of the Houston Astros. I will ask people on my staff, and we will collaborate to make the best decisions possible for the organization. I make the final decision, and it was made by me with collaboration from the front office, aka Jeff Bagwell, probably. But so he also said that parting with Joey Loperfido was hard, as that he's a special human being. He says that parting with players is always a hard thing, but winning comes at a cost. He said the ultimate goal is to win the division, get to the playoffs, and to get to the World Series. The final goal is to get to the World Series, but you have to take it step by step. And first is win the World Series, but you have to have the rotation. And he felt like getting Kikuchi, and he actually targeted Kikuchi. He was number 1 on their list. And he said that this is the guy we wanted from the very beginning. And he was the guy that they targeted, the guy they thought they can afford. And he said we had a lot of guys in mind, but Kikuchi was the guy we definitely targeted. He had power stuff. These are the guys you want in rotation, especially when you're making a run in playoffs and World Series. You can't always focus on the ERA.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course we all know that. Can't focus on the batting average, can't focus on the ERA. But at the end of the day, with what the Astros gave up ultimately, I don't know that Will Wagner becomes an everyday major leaguer, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, does Joey ever fix his swing and miss stuff? And he may. I hope
struck out his first at bat with the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he strikes out 34% of the time, so that's going to happen. And then you don't know what Bloss is going to become, but at the end of the day, you've got to hope that it works out for you on your end. You can't control those things when you send players out. But so while I think that we could have done better at the trade deadline, I don't think in reality, I don't know if that was a realistic expectation because of what we had to offer and what we didn't have to offer. And here's the thing, the Orioles, I think, may have overplayed their hand a little bit, Eric. They gave up a lot of guys to get players. Eloy Jimenez comes in and he automatically bumps playing time from Ryan O'Hearn, who is a pillar of that Orioles offense. That doesn't do well for a young team that has chemistry. You need to let those guys ride together into the championship. You don't need to bring in a bunch of new blood. And I think the Orioles may have overplayed their hand a little bit. It may actually have a negative effect in them when they get to the playoffs. Now, Jackson Holliday, you see his first major league home run was a grand slam. And the kid who caught it, the kid's dad, met Jackson Holliday. He gave Jackson Holliday the baseball, and Jackson Holliday gave the kid a bat, and he asked the kid if he had any questions, and the kid goes, "Was the ice cold?" Because they dumped the Gatorade on him. And so I thought that was a neat moment. Good Lord, Jackson Holiday looks like a kid. Looks like he's not even out of high school.
Right.
It's insane.
On Ferguson, Espada said that the Astros have actually been targeting Ferguson for several years. They like his arm. We've liked his arm for years. It'll be good against lefties and righties. So Ferguson said a lot of winning goes on here. I'm excited. There's definitely worse landing spots, but a team that's in contention every year is a good spot to go. So like I said, I think he might have had a few bad outings in New York, and if you fall out of favor with the fans there, they don't let you forget it. And so I think that maybe if he look what it's done for Mr. Scott here. So no, not Scott. What's his name? Taylor. It's Taylor Scott. Is that the pitcher?
Yeah,
Taylor Scott. Yeah. So Taylor Scott's he's been just a kind of a guy that's a journeyman, and he's found his home with the Astros. So maybe it may not be right away, but Ferguson may be able to find some of that magic that he had with the Dodgers.
I think Ferguson is someone we can fix. I don't think all hope is lost with him. Anytime I see that much ire from the Yankees fans, I'm like, I would love for someone here said I would love to see him strike out Aaron Judge in the ALCS.
Yeah.
Or, see Kikuchi pitch against I don't think the Blue Jays make the playoffs, but, see Kikuchi strike out some Yankees and they go, he just, he went to a different team. He's still hurting us. So look, man, best of luck to those. Welcome to H-Town, guys.
Yeah, we do have some updates from Verlander and Garcia.
Okay.
They did throw, Verlander did throw 27-30 pitches off the mound, and Garcia threw 30 pitches in 2 simulated innings. Verlander's velocity was up to 94 miles per hour, and Garcia's is up to about 93. They both could be sent out to minor league rehab soon. And Justin Verlander said, "I felt good. Great step forward. I threw all my pitches, so that's all I can ask for." So that's good news. I wish we can hear something good about Kyle Tucker, but now we'll talk more about the Tampa Bay series coming up. Will Leon play? How will Kikuchi do? We'll talk more about his stuff, what to expect from him in tomorrow's episode. But guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Go and subscribe to us. Make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check us out, and go ahead and become an everydayer, and go and check out Michael Connor on the Locked On Astros podcast as well, postcasts as well. And we'll see you tomorrow, and go Stros.
Go Stros. What are you doing?
Wrong buttons.
You picked every